Hello everyone and welcome to Golden Nova's First Reacts, the show where I react to the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. And you'd have to be a pretty dedicated Nova fan for me to be the first one to tell you about this, because when this hit the world, everyone was excited for it, or at least interested for the concept. We are getting a new alt format that is officially supported by Konami, Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG Genesis. I'm not sure what the spelling is supposed to be. Like, is it Genesystems? Like a whole new Genesis? Like, why not just call it... I guess they didn't want to use, like, actual Genesis for Bible reasons? I don't know. The point is that we have changed from advanced format. No longer are we restricted by the ban list that has been choking the life out of so many decks. Now you can play everything at a price. Let's do a quick run over of the rules here, just in case I really am somehow the first person that's telling you this. If so, thank you. It means a lot to me. First up, links and pendulums are being excised from the format because we are using Master Rule, whatever the one was before we had pendulum zones. So there's no like side zone things to deal with, but there's also no extra monster zone, so that inherently with current rules removes the ability to use link monsters anyway, because they'd have to go into the EMZ first. And then they added pendulums on there for a variety of reasons. I know that a lot of people say that it's because it's a Yugi Boomer change thing. I kind of feel like links and pendulums have been so knotted together at this point, though, that if you were to remove links, it kind of makes sense in a way to get rid of pendulums. That way you're not, like, having one format where you can pendulum summon without having to use, like, linked zones and then going to advance and be all like, well, actually, you do have to do that kind of deal. Or, and then going to Genesis and then not having to do that kind of thing. It just kind of smooths over some stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a move to get Yugi Boomers into the game. As they have stated on the page, it's a big tent thing. They want to bring in as many people as possible, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say about pendulums. Second, all cards are allowed. There's no F and L list. Third, deck construction uses a point system, so I believe someone counted it out, and there's now a list of, out of the 10,000 cards in Yu-Gi-Oh!, there's like 500 plus ones that now have a point value associated with them. And when you build your deck, you can use any cards from the game at any quantity as long as your pointed cards do not exceed 100, at least for the base level of competition. They've already stated in number 4 that tournament organizers can change the point cap, so 100 is like the standard bear. A lot of stuff on the list is built around being 100 points, but people can lower it by going down, they can increase it by going up. We'll have things to say about that momentarily, about something else going on here. And then the who's it's for, like we said, big tent thing, bring in everyone. They're going to be keeping an eye on it, they're going to be introducing this into tournaments, even YCSs now, which is huge. There's a list of them. If you're in any of these areas, please go and give this a shot. I'm looking forward to seeing what the results are. This is going to be like a real format that people brew for because it's getting that level of support. And it's going to be really cool to see what decks are active in that. Once we get past the current point allocations that they have here. This is a recap of the rules here, and then a gigantic list. We are not going to be going over each one of these because, like we said, the list is absolutely enormous. Actually, I'm looking at the stream, the recording here, and the bar is right here. That is a huge amount left over from here. But there's a ton of cards from a variety of different archetypes. Like, you know, you have your standard like banned and limited and restricted cards, or banned, limited, and semi-limited. Are on here at various amounts. Abyss Dweller is 100 points, so if you want to be able to shut off the graveyard, you better be willing to get rid of any other pointed card on this list if you're playing at a standard level event. But even Arahime the Manifested Makonko is getting hit. Things like the World are getting limited to that one card, so that you they're making it harder with a lot of these picks to enable FTKs or like big turn skip strategies in here. You'll see certain things where, like, yeah, you can play a card that's 100 points that enables this wild strategy as long as you had one other card and then that one other card is worth 1 point. So it's almost it's almost not worth it to even point the card, but they have to, just to make sure you can't play both at the same time during the same event if it's at a particular power level. I am going to forgive them for putting Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. No branded card should be on here because it's the story that you're promoting, and I don't see why you have to bully them so much. And really, who plays Albion anyway? I mean, it's not like we can do anything without the gimmick puppet lock, right? This is cool. I want to make like a biggest winners and losers video soon. It might be a while, vis-a-vis job now. But I was thinking of something on the drive home. This is a huge format that is being supported, and it's not Domain. I know, painful. I hate it as much as the next person. You put a lot of value into stuff, and Konami doesn't pick up your format. What? I know you're watching. You've been making the weird card releases based on all of my gameplay videos. I know you know we're out there. But I actually think this is one of the best things to happen to Domain since its creation. A big barrier to entry for Domain is that a lot of people don't believe that the game can be balanced because it doesn't have a ban list. Despite the fact that everything is singleton, you still have unrestricted access to things like Graceful Charity, Pot of Greed, Painful Choice, all that kind of stuff. And now, there's a way to regulate it that's kind of out of our hands. If we wanted to include a ban list for Domain format, or if we wanted to include a point system like this, someone would have to go through the entire card pool and figure out which cards need to be on this list and how many points that would be, and even what kind of point system we're talking about here, right? Like, we're using 100 as our base system, but what if we had picked 10 as a base and cards were like 1, 2, or 3 pointed? That once you get that kind of small amount of points, it's harder to get granular with things, but because they chose 100, they can get really fiddly with the numbers here. And I think this allows for a good halfway point, right? If people don't feel comfortable with going to a table where people can play essentially the Power 9 of Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can just say, hey, we're running this pod here and we're using Genesis rules. Granted, there is a bit of an issue with that. This list this format has a point list that is balanced around the idea of not having links or pendulums, and there's a lot of decks out there that utilize both mechanics that you can't play in Genesis that people love bringing to Domain. Now, if you entirely take the Genesis system, you kind of have to take the restrictions of it along with the structure of the point buy system that lets people keep like a kind of tight grip on these super powerful, otherwise banned cards. I'm not sure how that necessarily gets solved. You could say, hey, you can just play Pendulums and Link Monsters, but then you end up with a situation where those decks are now highly favored as opposed to the decks that otherwise aren't playing them, or don't have access to like utility Link Monsters that I guess other decks would be able to play them now, but like those would be the utility Link Monsters as opposed to really powerful on-theme ones that can really warp a play field. And I'm not entirely sure how that gets fixed off the top of my head. Maybe just go ahead and do it, you know. Domain is already a high-power format anyway, and I don't think it was necessarily the links or pendulums that people were worried about when playing Domain in that regard. You could keep like currently banned Pendulum and Link Monsters banned, so you don't just create a format where, you know, now... But then like you're banning cards in Domain, so it's like, I don't know. It's I think this is a great starting point. I think the huge boost here are two things. One, the scalable point maximum that you can have for your events. Something that I'm going to be trying out in the recent future, I'm sure, is figuring out what would be a good point amount for a Domain game. I do think the fact that it is a singleton format that has a mandatory higher deck count than most decks would play should allow them to play a few more pointed cards. So I'm thinking maybe like a 300 thing for Domain, so you can play a couple of really big cards, but maybe you don't spend it on your Pot of Greeds and your Graceful Charities, and you spend them on other things. Or maybe you go ahead and play them because if with 300 points, Graceful Charity and Pot of Greed are like, I think combined 80 points, which is a wild thing to say, I feel. Let's go ahead and double check that just so that my calculations. Pot of Greed is 30. Graceful Charity is 4. So that would be 70 points out of a 300. Maybe 200 is correct. Oh, God. Seeing Glad Beasts take such a hit on this list is boggling my mind. These are some really good cards for the theme, but I don't know. I can see why they made Albion on the list, though, because they put Give Me Puppet Nightmare at 70. So you can't play those together during the same game of at least a standard level format one. I was getting to something at some point. Yeah, the point maximum for Domain if you were to add Genesis rules. That's the first thing that I think is interesting, because you can just scale that for whatever level that you want it to be. It can be a kind of... of course, the immediate connection here is to point-buy systems and other card games like Magic the Gathering's Canlander. And we can't get out from under the shadow of comparing ourselves to Magic the Gathering, but I do think that this actually has a bit of shades of Magic the Gathering's bracket system for Magic the Gathering's Commander. Now you have a way to be all like, hey, we're going to be playing a 100-point game or a 300-point game. Like you can say how many points your deck is, and you can relatively figure out what it is in comparison to others, even if you are not playing under the Genesis rules. I think that's an interesting thing. Like you can plug it into one of the now few available tools online that can tell how many points your deck is to show where it is, so you can show that off. And this is a good starting point for making other adjustments. If you're anything like me, if I was setting up a list for a I would cut out so many of these things. I wouldn't put the Gladiator Beast cards in there at all, but that's just my bias on that one. You can choose which cards get pointed or not if you use a custom list for it. You can point Pendulum and Link monsters because now a vast majority of the work has already been done for us. So now you just have to go through a couple of subsets, or not a couple. The Pendulums and Link still make a pretty vast amount of the game, but it's a lot less work than having to go through everything else. You can do that. You can adjust points for existing cards, and because it's all like an unofficial format, you don't necessarily have to worry about, rocking the boat at an official event. It's already Domain. You weren't going to tournaments for it anyway. So, this is big. I know this is, like, Genesis is the big thing, and I spent the entire back half of this video talking about Domain, but that's the thing that I'm really pushing right now, and I do think that I am nothing but happy about this as an inclusion to the game. It may not be my cup of tea, necessarily. I'm already not the best deck builder anyway, so having to do a point system on top of it might not yield the best results for old Nova here, but it's another way to play the game. It's gotten people talking about it. I think it's really cool. Now, granted, the one thing that kept coming up in my feeds is that they just haven't really dialed in the knobs quite enough. Of course, you can see wild things like Gladiator Beast cards getting absolutely huge point totals assigned to them. Apparently Gladiator Proving Ground is more powerful than Pot of Greed resolving, so one search for a pretty mid theme is better than just a +1 in card economy. I don't know. Whatever. Wait, hold on 1 second. Oh, okay. So your deck can just play if you only want to have 10 points left over. You can just play 3 Pot of Greed in a supported format. That's so funny. I have to wonder how Dogwater every every other thing must be if you only played Pot of Greed as your pointed cards. Oh my god. Okay, so this is just really cool. I like it. Idea's really cool, but currently it does seem like K9 is the best deck because Dimension Shifter is a hand trap that is a lingering floodgate, which they have normally been hitting a bunch of in this list, but they left Dimension Shifter at a very affordable 5 points, so you can throw in a playset of those for 15 points and barely scratch your budget. And several decks play well with it while hindering so many other decks. And K9 has been the biggest beneficiary of it. Their key cards are highly pointed, but not highly pointed enough to keep you from playing their core cards. And Paradise Smasher, the card that was recently banned, no, not on here. You'll notice it's not on here. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves in the future. Because I don't think, or rather we know, that it's going to be changing constantly. I don't think it'll be this bad for long. But we know that this is going to be changing roughly monthly, so we can expect to see some changes every time that Master Duel gets some changes to its list, and then they will then be using the data from these tournaments to determine what gets changed around. Hopefully they will get more strict on certain cards we don't like. Hopefully they'll ease off on some of the more rogue contenders out there, but I digress. Good thing overall. Holy cow, I am over the moon for this. This is good for so many aspects of the game itself. But I want to hear what you all have to say. Do you have a favorite deck that you're looking forward to playing right now? Me personally would have been Deskbots if I didn't lose 4 of the most important cards in the theme. What combos and things does this enable that you're looking forward to playing with and or seeing? I want to hear all of your goofy little tech decks down below, and as always, until the next time Konami drops some juicy spoilers, and this was a juicy one, I'll see all y'all next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout while helping out the channel. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media and the Critic of Innocence, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Meme King, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Boos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, That One Dumbass, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ally Vatnia, Animasta, Anthrak, A Random Pup, Blade Runner 1034, Blaze Rider, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Chris B, Cool Trainer Dark, Dr. Entity RIP, Eki Bullock, Edwin Perez, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, J.A. Flair, Julian Marquez, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Mr. Machina, Natiel Lee Alexander, Nicholas Murphy, Not Al Gore, Obsidian, Pombo, Rhyme Kairos, Rogue Wolf, Shizuka Nijimura, Simic Toadstool, Stephen Huntsman, The Legendary Raven, The Queen of Time, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Zaldreka and Azentha, as well as all the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.